going on? How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week going? How's everybody's day going? It's pretty cloudy here. It's starting to rain here in the good old Mitten State, but I guess it's not really the Mitten State. It is technically the Wolverine State, even though we don't really have Wolverines, unless you count, Hugh Jackman. And then cool, awesome, but that's besides the point. But anyway, this is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and this is a Man United News Roundup. A little bit more of a focused Man United News Roundup today because we are talking left backs because there are so many left backs. We are going to dive into all of it today. I do want your thoughts on some of the latest and greatest rumors, but I want your thoughts on left backs overall. So we're going to talk about that today, you guys. So get involved in the live chat as we go along, you guys. I want to hear what you have to say, but make sure, most importantly, that you like, you subscribe, check those memberships, you guys, and I'll be back with you in a hot second. Told you I'd be back in a hot second. I did not lie. We are back. Before, though, first and foremost, while I have you here, you guys, it is 20% off in the United vs. Everybody online store right now. I just want to make sure I direct you guys to that. There is a link pinned in the chat. You guys can see up here, 20% off of everything. This is what the website looks like when you go to it. You click on 20% everything. You can redeem it. Clip shop now. It's going to bring up all the designs in the site. You can see there's quite a bit. Click on a design that you like. Let's say you want to go for the newest one, the sash. You guys have seen me rock this as well, but it is available in a lot of different products, a lot of different colors. If you just want to rock the old school t-shirt, not a problem there. You can see they're not super expensive. 21 bucks is not big, but it comes in a variety of colors as well as a bunch of sizes as well. This is pretty much what it's going to look like, but 20% off for the next 6 days, you guys. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. If you guys have been on the fence, if you guys have noticed some of the things that I've been wearing, Ian's been wearing, Dylan's been wearing, like the OG green and gold as well, check that out as well. But go and check that out, you guys. Make sure you get that 20% off. Check the memberships too, you guys. I know I mentioned it before. Memberships are also a great way to get involved in the channel as well. A lot of unique perks. You guys can go deep those. We do have a WhatsApp group for some of the members as well. Legends members, if you want to support the channel in that level, you also get early access to a lot of videos. For instance, if we sign a left back, there will probably be a deep dive video on said left back. I've probably deleted a lot of pre-made videos because I make videos every time we're heavily linked with someone and the rumors roll on. Ended up deleting them because we don't ever use, some of them we just don't use, but those are the kind of things that you guys get early access to. But let me see who's involved in the chat. I know YouTube is having some weird issues today in terms of the chat and whatnot not working. It keeps telling me disconnected and then it says successfully connected, but I did Google it and it looks like YouTube is having some crazy issues on their end. But hopefully you guys are able to break through that, get involved in the chat if you guys go along. Otherwise, it's going to be a very quick, very smooth show. But keep hitting the like button, subscribe. I do have a poll in the chat for you. You guys can go ahead and jump on that while we're talking. So let's get started on some transfer news, you guys, because we are talking left backs because we've got some updates with some players that we spoke about yesterday with Ian. This one's coming from Fabrizio Romano. He has claimed that United have been actually offered a left back, and let's see what he had to say. It's really weird when they say we've been offered someone. It's not something you usually hear, but this is what Fabrizio had to say. He said Jorge Salinas has been offered to Manchester United, but they are assessing their options. So here's the thing. When we get something like this where it's like, this player's been offered to Manchester United, the language is very, very strange. It's like I said, you don't often hear that a player has been offered to the club. It originated from Sport, the whole Jorge Salinas links, which is not a great source, but again, now it's been snowballed by a lot of bigger outlets and whatnot, and so it is what it is. But now Romano is chatting about it, so we're going to chat about it a little bit. But here's the reason I want to get your thoughts, because I'm really trying to pay attention to the language that we're using here. Like I've said a couple times now, Salinas has been offered to Manchester United. He didn't know, Romano didn't say United are interested in Salinas. He didn't say United have made contact. What he said is that United have been offered this player, which to me, I don't know about you guys. You guys can let me know in the chat. I don't know about you, but when I read that, it definitely sounds a lot like agent talk. It sounds like agent shopping around, agent maybe putting pressure on Santander, maybe agent. We know that there are also Barcelona links to this player as well. Maybe he's putting pressure on Barcelona. We do know, like, it's academic at this point that United's name will be used to drum up interest, to put pressure, whether that's contract talks or whatever. We saw that with Vinny Jr. We saw that with guys like Sergio Ramos. It does happen, but this definitely, to me, feels like agent talk. He does have a low release clause. If you're looking for someone to come in and if it's worth a punt to pay a low release clause and have a young player kind of rotate, but you know this plan is also still maybe to get a more first team ready player, cool. But it's interesting stuff. Romano concludes this by claiming that, in addition to looking for a left-sided player, left back or left wing, doesn't specify, United are also looking for a center mid. So we'll see. Salinas played in La Liga 2 last season with Santander, obviously in the Segunda Division. He did rack up like 7 assists last season. This is a heat map. You can definitely see he's a bit more defensive minded. He spends a lot more time in his own half than he does on the opposition half, just outside that channel. But again, 7th for assists in the Liga, which is not bad, but it was still La Liga 2. It was outside of the top 10 by a couple spots. 7th most tackles in the league last season. So he is, again, more defensive, but again, those tackles have also saw him pick up 9 yellows last season as well. So he's young, he's 19 years old, playing in the Segunda Division last year. We'll see how he does, but the release clause is tempting for sure. But we've got Harry Amas, we signed Diego Leon, Kokonki coming through. This kid's definitely not first team ready for Manchester United. So I'm not sure. Again, this is why I said from the get-go a couple of days ago, the links do seem a bit tenuous at best. They do feel a little bit more like agent talk. What are you guys saying here? JSN the Cool Gay, welcome back. He's getting his thoughts in, you guys. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about overall what you guys are looking for from a left back. But based on the recent links, I did put that poll out there. Let me check where that poll is. So far, 4 votes. And it looks like 50% of you are going Lewis Hall, and then the rest of the votes are split between Lewis-Skelly and David Raum. Nobody's voted for this kid yet, Jorge Salinas. So I'm not saying that's definitively mean he's not good. I'm just saying nobody's voted for him. So the facts are what they are. But big up, JSN. Welcome back to the channel. But yeah, thought I would get you guys' thoughts on this kid just because we've got some fresh updates on that. But that's, again, heat map, 7 assists in La Liga. 7th most tackles, 9 yellow cards in the I keep saying La Liga. It's La Liga 2. It's the Segunda. It used to be called the Segunda Division basically, but now it's just called La Liga 2, and they've got like a different color logo. But we'll see. Are you happy with maybe a player coming from a teenager who's only played in the Segunda Division coming up to Manchester United? I'm not too keen on it, but again, it's not my channel. It's your guys' channel. So speaking of left backs, Ben Jacobs also chimed in this morning with a bit of a breaking, I guess you could call it breaking update. It is Ben Jacobs though, so it's not necessarily breaking, but again, I've asked you guys last week, someone has to, pull the United fan base and ultimately decide whether or not Ben Jacobs is a reliable source, because some days the United fan base is not too big a fan of Ben Jacobs, and other days everyone's biting on what he has to say. But Danny B's in the house. Big up Danny. But regardless, we're going to chat about what he had to say, and this is what he had to say. Myles Lewis-Skelly has been offered to Manchester United. So that's 2 teenage left backs that have been offered to Manchester United in the space of 24 hours. He also says he's been offered to Chelsea as well. Not a new link with either club, but fresh contact with both following the arrival of Bruno Guimaraes. Yes, they did officially sign Bruno Guimaraes because apparently Arsenal need more center midfielders, even though they seem to buy one every 6 months or so. Absolutely insane. I just don't get it. What was the point of getting Norgard, by the way? That didn't make sense. Just having a body in there. Promote someone from your academy if that's the case. Didn't make sense. I think they sold him anyway, but Ben Jacobs here is citing a couple journos from the Daily Mirror. I think Alex Crook has been tagged on this as well. So make of all that what you will. I want to make sure the context is out there as far as the source goes. But we're going to talk about it for a hot second. Jamie Jackson is tagged on this as well. He's kind of piggybacked and reckoned that he's valued around 45 million pounds. I've seen some people reporting that Arsenal wants 60 million pounds. Reportedly, Arsenal are trying to raise money. Obviously, they paid some big money for Guimaraes, a lot, like 75 million, which is nuts. But maybe this is also agent talk to maybe get a little pressure on Arteta to give him some more minutes, or they will be looking elsewhere. We know that Lewis-Skelly wants to play more minutes. He's not really played in his preferred role. So here's the thing. I've talked about this the other day. If you guys remember, I had him in my top 21 under 21 video because he's a great player. Again, go watch that video if you guys haven't yet. There is a link in the video description if you want to check out the 21 players aged 20 and younger that I think are the best in football right now. Again, my own opinion. If you think I missed someone, let me know in the comments when you go and watch that video. But more importantly, when you're there, hype it and like it for me, please. But back to Lewis-Skelly. He's an amazing player. I think he's an excellent player. Obviously, I had him in my video. He's got fight, energy, ball progression. He's technical. Pretty much everything you could ask for, right? But here's the issue, and as Danny points out, he's not a left back. He's not a natural left back. He's been shoehorned at left back because instead of buying fullbacks, Arsenal seem to want to play center backs at fullback. Like Calafiori is not a left back. Calafiori is a center back. Ben White, Jurrien Timber, Tomiyasu even. These guys are not, or Tomiyasu was, but yeah, Ben White, Jurrien Timber, these guys aren't fullbacks. They're center backs being played at fullback, which I don't know what the issue there is, that they just want more center backs. So when they kind of spam corners, I don't know, but he gets away with it a little bit, Lewis-Skelly, in the Arsenal system because he does tuck inside to take up midfield positions when Arsenal are kind of building up. But again, he's still, even if he's doing that, he's not playing as a natural left back, right? He's not keeping his width. He's not overlapping. He's not getting involved in that ball progression in wide areas like he would be as like an 8, or maybe even the attack-minded player in a double pivot. If United want to bring in Lewis-Skelly as a third midfield signing, cool, go for it. An argument could be made there, right? For his versatility, he can play multiple positions. Like Caleb Urenchi, who Coventry just signed, is a midfielder, but he has been playing as a center back. Like it's valuable to do that. Zeno DeBast, another good example. That has value, but again, at the end of the day, Lewis-Skelly's not a left back, so it is potential. Like Danny says, taking third midfielder. Yeah, if we get him as a third midfielder, I would have no problem with that, honestly. Still go get Lewis Page as well. I like to keep stacking that. But Lewis-Skelly's got quite a few minutes. He's started Champions League final, I believe. Obviously, Arsenal lost. That's more of an Arteta thing. We just decided he didn't want to play football that day. But yeah, I like Lewis-Skelly a lot. He's not a left back, unfortunately. And so it is what it is. What do you guys have to say? Tem is getting welcome back, getting a lot of old faces back in the chat these days. He says, please, Wilcox, make a plan for signing a loan. Who's that? Sasha Bowie? Is that what you're talking about? He just listed every player. So you just want to sign every player. Welcome back, Tem is again. Yeah, let me know what you think about Lewis-Skelly, chat. I want to know what your thoughts are. I'm going to get some more tea because my throat's killing me. It's good tea. What are you guys getting up to today? When you guys, Dan, you got to remind me of the tea that you like. I know you've always told me a brand. I just can't remember what it is. Then he says, yeah, Lewis-Skelly was excellent. First half Champions League final. Yeah, he was. Let me go look up that Champions League final while we're at it. While you guys are here, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe for me. We're on the road to 5K. Every little bit helps, you guys. Don't forget 20% off in the United vs. Everybody store. I showed you what that looks like and how that works. Let me go rewind run it back to the Champions League final. He played 90 minutes. I'm going to check his numbers from that final. So he started in the pivot next to Declan Rice, was subbed off in the 91st minute. Interestingly enough, the captain, Martin Odegaard, was among the first to be subbed off. Problem was Lewis-Skelly never really gotten the ball because Arsenal went up that goal, and then they just decided to not play football anymore. And so the stats will be a little skewed, but still, I mean, he didn't really have anything of note. But again, I think that, like I said, that had more to do with the way Arsenal decided to play after getting that early goal than anything. I mean, if you've got amazing players on the pitch, but you decide just to park the bus, I mean, it doesn't matter. You got Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland, but if you're just going to park the bus, it doesn't really matter, does it? So, as if I know what's up. This is what's your thoughts on Joaquin Saiz? How does he compare? I have covered Joaquin Saiz at least a half a dozen times on this channel. If you want to learn more about him, obviously he was in my 225 million pound rebuild video as one of my picks for my players that I wanted to sign. If you want to learn a little bit more about him, there is a 5 left back targets that United should look for video. If you dig around, you'll find it. I featured him in there as well, so that one's going to have a little bit more of a deep dive. I do like Joaquin Saiz. The links from the other day were not from very great sources, and honestly, anyone, I explained it all yesterday. Like the Athletic article didn't say anything about Saiz other than that he's doing well and he's a player to keep an eye on. That's all they said. So, but I do like Joaquin Saiz a lot. He's one of my top left back targets. I think he's absolutely incredible. Still young, but I think he's he even showed in his cameo for Belgium how he was locking down Lamine Yamal against Spain, doing a very good job. But yeah, go check out those videos if you want to learn a little bit more about him as well. But I did do a little bit more of a deep dive in there. So Lion's tea is the best Irish tea. Nice. I'm going to look that up on Amazon and I will add it to my list. Do you have a flavor? I usually just go with Earl Grey. But I'm always open to new suggestions. So I'm going to throw that on my Amazon real quick and see what comes up with. Lion's tea, huh? Interesting. I think the flavor the brand I've got is called Twinings or Twinnings, something like that. It's just Earl Grey, but I do enjoy Earl Grey. Just a little bit of milk, and that's what this is. But yeah, Lewis-Skelly, excellent player, not a left back. I feel like and I don't think he really would want to come in just to play left back. I think he's made comments a couple times in the last season or so about, the times where he does get to play midfield, he likes it. He's a natural center mid. It just doesn't make sense for him to get shoehorned there because Arteta doesn't know how to fucking set up a team. But what do they? I mean, they won the league. What do I know, right? So it is what it is. But I can't have everything I want. So Lewis Hall, a couple more updates on Lewis Hall. Supposedly we're still in for Lewis Hall. At least, we haven't given up on Lewis Hall. I mean, it's claimed that any deal for Lewis Hall would be difficult. United are also reportedly aware of how difficult that would be. I mean, I don't want us to just give up on a target because it's difficult to get, right? I mean, even if, and especially if it's difficult to get because of our hesitancy and our indecision in the transfer market. The reason Lewis Hall is difficult to get now is because it's mid-August. And Newcastle have sold a ton of players. They don't really need money or anything. There's no pressure. They've literally got rid of almost all their best players, and Lewis Hall is the only one left. So they're not going to want to just have to go through an entire rebuild. I mean, they need to keep somebody, and so that's why if he was a serious target for us, we should have done that early on. He wasn't at the World Cup, and that probably with that wound and that frustration still fresh in his mind. We probably could have maybe gotten him to kind of put in a request there because we could have moved before Eddie Howe got sacked. We could have done a lot of that stuff when all that frustration was still fresh and kind of played on that and gotten him to put in a request. But again, we made it difficult on ourselves by waiting too long. This is just like Anthony all over again. If you guys remember, Ten Hag wanted Anthony in May, June. The club didn't do anything, and he was 35 million at that time. We waited till August. And lo and behold, Ajax upped their asking price. Surprise, surprise. It's just how it works when you wait too long. You kind of shoot yourself in the foot. I feel bad for Ten Hag that summer. Yeah, Anthony didn't have time to be a great player, but the fee is not his fault. It's nothing he could do about it. That's all on the club. And so it was either, hey, you don't get one of your top targets, or you get him and you can't get anybody else because now he costs almost 3 times as much as when we first looked at him. So this club, man, I've said it many times, the people who have made the most important decisions at this club for the last 12, 13, 14 years have been absolutely incompetent. Just apps from Woodward to Murtaugh, Arnold, and now even Wilcox is getting on my freaking last nerve too. Whatever. Rant over. Big up Dabasi. He's a good youngster. Maybe Arsenal knows he isn't fitting here. I think that he's just not playing his natural position. And now that they've signed Bruno Guimaraes. Is he going to get any minutes at midfield? I doubt it. I really doubt it. And so this to me sounds like agent also maybe putting a little pressure on him, shopping him around, let him go play, which is what your agent's supposed to do. Like that's his job. But on Lewis Hall, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Again, difficult, but difficult shouldn't just be a roadblock. You have to look at that as a challenge. You have to persist. Some determination needs to happen there. If we're in form, if we're only still in form, it's because there's some sort of indication on his end that he wants to join United. Otherwise, there would be no point. Like we've seen Ineos, like nope, we don't care if you're not in. We're not in for it. Now there have been reports that Lewis Hall has left Newcastle's training camp, and I think they're in Spain right now, and he's training on his own. Reportedly, it's to manage a minor injury. We'll see how it goes. It's important to note, too, that Fabian Schär and Lewis Miley have left that training camp as well, and I think that Livramento is still injured. I mean, honestly, in an ideal world, if I had I would prefer that Lewis-Skelly goes to Newcastle and that we get Lewis Hall. Like, I think that would be great for everybody involved. But again, I'm not the one making the decisions, unfortunately. If we were making the decisions, I guarantee you we would have had our signings done a month ago, and Carrick would have had everybody here for preseason, and we'd be absolutely running like a well-oiled machine by now. But it is what it is. If you want to look at my alternative directors of football, go look at that video too, because I did do a video on Jason Wilcox's replacements several months back, because I just don't think he's good enough for his job. If he wants to handle like finding Premier League players from academies, cool, let him do that. Let Vivell be director of football at this point. I'd rather have him do it as well. Dabasi says gold coin. I don't know what that means, Dabasi. But sent a gold coin for 10 joules. I don't know what that means, man. I really don't. Are you able to play games in the chat now? I have no idea, but thank you for the gold coin. Whatever, if that ends up being something great, I'm going to be super happy about it. But you're getting you. YouTube, man. Like I said, the chat's being weird today with YouTube. They're having issues on their server, and so it is what it is. And then also, yeah, don't forget the very, very thin, but the links to David Raum as well. We discussed that with Ian yesterday. The links are iffy at best. Again, people were linking us to David Raum yesterday, citing The Athletic. You have to go and read the article, you guys. Athletic did do an article, but the article was literally just available left backs that United could target, and just reminded us, yes, we were linked in the past. He's still available, has a low release clause. United could. They basically wrote an article. It's the equivalent of the videos that I do. Like, that's all there is to it. But get involved with in the chat with your thoughts on David Raum, because a £34 million release clause is very tempting. You're not going to get him for 5, 6, 7 years, right? We're not going to be throwing like a Chelsea contract at him. You'll probably get him 2 or 3 years. He comes in and he kind of bridges that development gap. He's not some 20, 21-year-old that you've got to develop. He's 28, doing it in the Champions League, assists and chance creation for days. He's a very attack-minded fullback. He is definitely more of a, you almost would call him a wingback a little bit, but he's a bit of an old school overlapping, whip that ball into the box, like first time kind of fullback, which I do kind of miss. I miss that kind of fullback. Defensively, not probably as sound as like a Luke Shaw maybe has been, but he's still a fullback by trade, so it's not like he's horrible at it. But yeah, £34 million is very tempting for David Raum. I think he might have been on Dylan's list when we first did a rebuild a while back. That would have been way back in like September or something. And I know Dylan's mentioned him a couple times. I know Dylan really likes him. But yeah, $34 million is tempting. It's be the same kind of release clause as we paid for Yuri Tielemans, who's roughly the same age. I think Tielemans is a year older. So again, bridges that gap. Hella Champions League experience. Knows Šeško pretty well. Knows how Šeško moves. Šeško knows how he operates as well. That could bridge a lot of gaps too. There's not that kind of learning curve in terms of chemistry and whatnot. You already know each other. And I think with David Raum in the side, Šeško would eat he would just eat goals, man. I think he really would. We don't do a good enough job of getting the ball in the box for Shesko. I think we wait a little too long sometimes. We let the opposition get back in numbers. We need to whip that ball in early. I think Dorgu, especially early on in his United career, was a little too guilty of trying to put that ball in a certain spot rather than just whip it in early. Like, your job is just to get it in the box, beat the first man, get it in the box, let the attackers figure out what to do with it next. Once you get it in there, if the delivery is good, it's not your job anymore. And I think that Gary Neville had mentioned that as well. And Gary Neville, like, from a tactical standpoint, like that, being a fullback, I would take his word on that. I don't take Gary Neville's word on a lot of things, but in terms of just what it's like to be a fullback and get that ball in the box, I think that. And Gary Neville, coming through his United career during a time where that was like the way things were done, right? Fullbacks overlap with the wingers. Somebody whips it in the box. Boom. Bish, bash, bosh. Stephanie, big up, Steph. Hope you are having a good day. Let us know what you guys are getting up to. I'm just chilling. It's starting to rain a little bit. Getting some tea. But let us know what you guys are getting up to. Make sure you like, please. If we get to 20 likes while I'm live, I'll give 5 memberships. Someone's got to keep me honest, though, because I do get distracted. I don't even remember sometimes that I've got polls up. You guys probably noticed sometimes I'll end the stream and I'm like, oh, wait, I had a poll. I need to go check that out. So I just forget things, you guys. It happens, but it is what doesn't mean I don't like you. I just forget a lot going on. But on left backs, because we've also, there's the links with like Anthony Robinson. There's like the Jed Spence stuff. I do think the Jed Spence stuff is just lazy journalism post World Cup hype. Because to his credit, Jed Spence had a tremendous World Cup, and I think he was good at Middlesbrough and Forest. Hasn't really been great at Spurs. So I'm not going to try to rewrite history like some people seem to be doing. If Jed Spence could play all the time like he did for England this summer, that would be like, the prices I'm seeing would be an absolute steal. I would just do it just to do it, but we haven't seen that consistency. There's been questions about Jed Spence's attitude under like Thomas Frank and stuff. We remember him kind of just ghosting Thomas Frank along with what's his face, Van de Ven, who is the captain. I don't understand how he's the captain. But so I want to throw those names. But we've got loads and loads of left backs, and today we've talked about a couple of them as well. Who would you sign? Let me check the poll where we're at right now. So still no votes for Jorge Salinas. So I think you guys have kind of spoken on that as well. I'm gonna turn this lamp up just a little bit. I'm looking a little dark on y'all's screen. Still, the votes are split between Lewis Hall and David Raum. Maybe my little breakdown swayed some people the other way. 27% of you are actually throwing out Myles Lewis-Skelly's name in there as well. But who would you sign? What are you looking for? If you were United's director of football and you're thinking, all right, we need a left back. Where's your hierarchy of characteristics? What traits would you prioritize for a new left back? What traits do you think United should be prioritizing? Do you look at experience? Do you look at attack-minded versus defensive-minded? Do you look for chance creation, assist? I tend to look. One of the early things I look for is how many assists do these players have, because I do want fullbacks who can put a ball in the box. I don't want back foot fullbacks. I want fullbacks who are going to get forward and get a ball in the box. Maybe you want Premier League experience. Maybe you want Champions League experience. Maybe you want international experience. I mean, honestly, that's not hard to get these days with a 48-team World Cup. I mean, heck, you could be from Mordor or Narnia and you're probably playing in the World Cup next time around these days. It's absolutely nuts. We should do a fun little fantasy made-up World Cup. We can do like Westeros. We can do all sorts of World Cups. Earth 616 from the Marvel Universe. We could do it all. Avatar, Pandora. We could do a Pandora team. That could be fun. We'll do a fantasy World Cup bracket that just includes every team ever. Maybe the Vatican will have a World Cup team. They're a sovereign nation. You know their walkout robes would slap, right? Just walking out for the kickoff in the robes and just take them off. That would be pretty sick. But yeah, what are you looking for in a World Cup? What sort of character, or on a left back? What sort of characteristics are you looking for here? I want to know. So get involved in the chat. If I had to guess. If I had to put mine out there, it's like I said, I look for chance creation because we've got defenders, and yes, you want your fullback to be able to defend, right? Because they are a defender first and foremost. But at the end of the day, I want someone who's going to create chances. A lot of our wingers aren't chance creating wingers, and they're not crossing wingers, I guess is it. But we have a 6.5 foot tall striker who can out jump everybody in football because of just his hops, right? But we're not putting enough balls in the box. Now, you can't put them too high because then they're not going to go anywhere. But we don't have players who are naturally just going to get in and put a ball in. Dallo tries, God bless him, but his cross is garbage. He's just garbage. So I wouldn't trust him to get a Hail Mary right. I think he would just absolutely mess that up. He'd be like, and that's when he tries to cross it and his arm is going way over here. So I don't trust Dallo to do it. Shaw, honest to God, it's so frustrating. Shaw's probably the best crosser of the ball that we have. We just doesn't do it enough. He doesn't get forward enough. I think these days Shaw is going to be a little bit more of that back foot defender. When he is in advanced positions, it's going to be those overloads, those little triangles that we're working when we've got sustained possession. So again, we're going to work the movement and then we're going to find him. And then if he's open, he's going to go ahead and put a ball in the box. But I don't like that as much, simply because you're letting the opposition get back in numbers in the box, which is just 5-10 times harder to get on the end of something. You're picking out one target and you're in a box full of 15 people at this point. I'd rather do that early. But Shaw's not going to be bombing up and down. He knows that when we're in those overloads, he's going to have cover, so he's not that worried. But he's not going to venture. The most times I've seen Shaw venture forward, A, we actually create something, or B, it's because he's trying to make a challenge around halfway line, which he's very good at, like fair play. But I just don't. I think the days of him kind of bombing up and down the pitch are well and truly behind him, personally. But I want to know what you guys would target, because I'm looking for assists, looking for chance creation. I do want some ball progression, right? I do want a fullback that can get up and down the pitch. And I do want someone who, is going to be able to defend. I don't need to see high tackle numbers, interceptions, but I do want to see some defensive, tackles is great, but it's not as good as like interceptions in my opinion. But so a little bit of everything, probably with a more emphasis on getting that ball into the box. What are you guys saying though? Get involved in the chat. I want to know what you guys would target character wise. Steph says Dallo and Shaw really weaken our team. We need better options at fullback. Yeah, I think Mazraoui, if it were me, and we'll talk about this next week when we do a kickabout. We're going to be looking at season predictions with Ian and Dylan, hopefully, get the whole crew in. And we'll be looking at, our preferred starting 11 going into the season, our, who's going to finish in Champions League spots, who's going to get relegated, what are our expectations and our musts for United, we're like, what's a acceptable season, what's a good season kind of thing, who will be our top scorer. We'll look at all that stuff next week. We'll do a big preview, and then once the transfer window closes, we'll do a transfer window rating show. Obviously, we'll look at each transfer, we'll look at the window overall, and we'll probably rant a little bit because, let's face it hasn't been a great window thus far. But we'll do that. But yeah, Mazraoui would definitely be starting for me at the moment, especially with Dallo just coming back. Like, I'd be putting Mazraoui on. Now, Mazraoui can play left back too. Don't forget that. It's where he plays for Morocco. He's played there. I think he's played there a couple times for Ajax and maybe Bayern as well. I don't remember now off the top of my head, but he does play there for Morocco. He does pretty well. I think last time I saw him play there for United, he did get a little bit of a knock in that match, I believe, but he can do it. Dallo can do it. Dorgu obviously can do it as well. Dorgu can play both flanks as well. So we've got some versatility there, but I want a specialist left footer, gonna get in there, gonna whip that ball in. Doesn't have to cut back onto his right like we saw like Ashley Young. Remember when he was doing that? Like, it just kills time. I'd rather have someone just get it in. Danny says Hall is best option. Lewis-Skelly is a midfielder. Yeah, you can get both. Both would be homegrown in a year or so. I think Hall is 21, so he probably counts. Lewis-Skelly would be homegrown as well in a couple years because he's still, 19, 20, so he'd have to be 21. But what are you guys saying? Danny's going to Hall and Skelly, or Raum and Skelly. Yeah, very different too. Hall probably locks up your left back slot for the next 10 years, right, if he stays fit. And Skelly, obviously, another midfielder that could come in and replace, guys like Tielemans and whatnot. And we've still got guys coming through the academy like Thwaites, this Lewis Page kid that we might be signing as well. Orozco coming into. We're signing a lot of youngsters, too, who are in and out of the club. Sekou Kone looked really good against BSC Young Boys the other day. Got himself an assist, playing like 80-some-odd minutes, so... but yeah, what characteristics are you looking for? Experience is good. I would like someone with Champions League experience too. We do need to make sure that we remind ourselves, and I'm talking to you, Ineos, that we are in Champions League this season. We are competing. We're going to have minimal 8 more games. on top of what we had last season. And we haven't really done much besides bring in two midfielders. Now, to his credit, Andre Santos looks like the real deal. We talked about that yesterday as well. And Tielemans obviously is a very good midfielder in his own way as well. But it's not enough. It's definitely not enough. Rashford, unfortunately, is probably going to be sticking around. Probably better option than Xerxes, especially off the bench. Can play multiple roles, so that helps. But at the end of the day, I'd still like to see him sold. And I'd like to see just a fresh striker come in, someone who actually pitches in. Someone like Trisoldi or someone like that would be ideal. But again, not up to me. I've heard it reported today that, some journal allegedly spoke to some senior official at United, and the party line was, don't judge us till the end of the window. Like, that's not how this works. Do you not understand what it's like to be a coach? Is Michael Carrick now explaining to them, like, I need preseason. So many former players and coaches have talked about the importance of players getting preseason, just tactics, fitness, familiarity, chemistry with the players, with the coaching staff, all that, especially if they're not coming from English football. Like, that can sometimes be a hindrance. Again, you guys know I don't buy into 100% Premier League proven, but I think it has more to do with the player. But again, you never know. But yeah, I think that's annoying. If I'm Michael Carrick, I'm like livid, absolutely livid. But we've also seen some comments from him about, he's happy with the team he has, happy with the players, wants to work with them, develop them. I'd like to see just a little bit comment, about like, we still got some strengthening to do. We'll see what the rest of the window has in store. That even that little sentence, I would just like to see him throw that little grenade out there in a presser, maybe ahead or after the Leeds match or something. Granted, we have looked good in preseason, but at the end of the day, it's preseason, so it is what it is. But let me know your thoughts on left backs overall, you guys, what you're kind of looking for, who would be your top choice. What are you guys saying here in the chat? So now Lewis-Skelly has jumped ahead of everybody else. He's got 38% of the votes. Still nobody voting for Jorge Salinas. That's interesting. And then the votes are now split between Lewis Hall and David Raum for second place. So you guys have just maybe it's a bunch of Arsenal fans coming here, although Arsenal fans seem to think that he's not going anywhere. You guys signed yet another midfielder when you've got a young kid who is a midfielder who you've been shoehorning at left back because Arteta just would rather just go full like F1 or like the longest yard and just play trick plays on corners than actually play football, which is why he lost the final. But it is what it is. But speaking of preseason, Leeds friendly is tomorrow. Apparently, did not know that was a midweek thing. Honestly, so I thought it was this weekend, the Leeds match, and I didn't realize that next season is already the start of the Premier League season. I thought there was a whole nother week still to go. Like, that really, really snuck up on me. Was not really even paying attention to that. Like, it's already the 11th of August, which is insane to me. So, yeah, season kicks off next weekend. So Leeds match is tomorrow. If I've got time, I'll try to do a watch along. Obviously, the other one was derailed the other day because I had to take the dog to the vet, and that was 12 o'clock was the only time I could get her in. So it is what it is. Priorities. But yeah, Rashford's back. Licha is now with the team in Dublin. Mainu's back. Pretty much everyone's back. De Ligt's training a little bit. Not fit yet, probably, but he has been taking part in some team training. I've seen him kicking a ball around a bit and whatnot, so that's good. Obviously, with the back, it's very delicate. But he did have surgery, and I think that's the thing that we have to remind ourselves, too, with De Ligt, is that he had this back issue for a number of years, right? And it was known before we signed him, but he did not have surgery yet to correct it. He's now had surgery, and so there's no reason to automatically to think that it's going to continue to be an issue, right? He had surgery. Surgery is there to correct something. Now he's got to recover from surgery, make sure his back is strong enough. And then back is, your back, especially your spine, that's connected to like every part of your body, depending on what part of your spine we're talking about. But he did have surgery. So I'm inclined to not worry as much about the same issue. Now, if the same issue does pop up, if the surgery didn't work, if he rushed back, then we can have a big conversation. I'm still going to be ruthless, and if he comes back in like October, has a good season, and someone wants to pick him up in the summer, you know what? Bye. We need to do a whole defensive rebuild next summer anyway, because I think I'm going to be ruthless with Licha. Probably going to be ruthless with Maguire as well. Euro and Heaven, probably good, but we do need to get some more bodies in there. Right? Armor is looking better than he looked earlier last season, but he's still not there yet. I know we've let go of a lot of players as well in defense. I think Al Joffrey got picked up by somebody. Louis Jackson is no longer here, I believe. Not playing Devaney there, so Danny's gonna miss the Leach friendly. It is what it is. The middle of the week, middle of the afternoon. Got to get on that Champions League schedule, Danny. You got to start. When I was an intern, I didn't schedule clients during like Champions League because the school I was at was like a block away from the pub where I'll watch Champions League games and whatnot with friends. So I was like, yeah, I'm not seeing clients during Champions League. So I'll wait till Thursday or Friday or Monday. I'm not scheduling them afternoons. So. But it is what it is. But I want to know your thoughts on left backs again. Let me know in the comments section. What characteristics are you looking for? What's your hierarchy there? Who would you prefer? I'm gonna do one more last check on this poll, and then I'll close it to see what we're looking at. So 14 votes. The voting is split at this moment. So far, Lewis Hall and Lewis-Skelly, Myles Lewis-Skelly have top votes. David Raum coming in at a close third on 29%. But I am going to go ahead and end it there. So you guys have kind of neck and neck there. So up in the air, I would take both Lewis Hall and Lewis-Skelly. Lewis-Skelly cannot be the left back signing, though. He just can't because he's not a natural left back. Sign him as a third midfielder and pick up a left back, and I'm happy. Like if I'm Michael Carrick and Ineos are like, good news, Mike, we got you Lewis-Skelly. I'm like, cool. What about my left back? And they're like, well, he plays. I'm like, no, what about my left back? Go sign me a left back. Because, Machesco is starving because everyone wants to cut inside and shoot. Nobody wants to put a ball in the box. And the guy who can is like 87 years old and will probably pick up an injury in the first couple weeks of the season. So we'll see how it goes. But let me know what you guys think about all that. A little bit of a shorter video today because I really wanted to get your thoughts on left back. So again, if you weren't able to catch the live, leave your thoughts in the comments section. I will check those and respond as well. But most importantly, make sure you hit the like button, please. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We are on the road to 3K as well. I love our 5K. I love seeing everybody get involved. Love seeing new faces. But I like seeing the subscriber count goes up. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy and validated. So keep it going, you guys. Make sure you're sharing, you're hyping. And then check out the UVE store as well. 20% off for the next 6 days or so. You can get little gems like the OG green and gold. There's mugs, there's posters, there's baby stuff, there's women's stuff, hoodies, hats, all sorts of stuff in there, you guys. Go check them out. All of it goes to help the channel. It's not that expensive. None of it goes into the Glazers' pockets or helps Ineos, in any way, shape, or form. But and then check out the memberships too when you get a second too. Lots of ways to get involved in the actual content. Yes, you do get a say in the content we put out. So go check out the perks and consider supporting the channel in that way as well. But thank you everyone for joining in today. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow. Just keep a lookout. Make sure the bell is hit. So if I do go live with a watch along, you guys won't miss it. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'm going to go make some pad thai because that sounds amazing. And I'll see you guys on